Welcome back to another episode of the Montgomery Companies Podcast. I'm your host, Jordan Montgomery, and today I'm with a special guest, Dr. William Dorfman. Dr. William Dorfman is not your average doctor. He has been on ABC's Extreme Makeover, Oprah, Larry King Live, and has received 16 Lifetime Achievement Awards. He's a New York Times best-selling author, a fellow in the American Academy of Cosmetic Dentistry, and the inventor of Zoom Whitening. He's the founder of the LEAP Foundation. He's a humanitarian and philanthropist, and he has worked with some of the most famous celebrities on planet Earth, including Hugh Jackman, Eva Longoria, Usher, Katy Perry, and Anthony Hopkins. Dr. Bill, it is with great joy that I get to welcome you on our podcast. I want to say thank you in advance for spending some of your very valuable time with us.
My pleasure, Jordan. Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm going to ask you the first question that I'm assuming all of our audience wants to know. How did you go from dental school to building what is now a billion-dollar business? Help us understand your background and the journey that you've been on.
You know, I think the best way to summarize it is with these principles that I teach at LEAP. And we'll get into LEAP a little bit later, but LEAP is a nonprofit motivational leadership program I teach for high school and college kids. And, you know, there's a lot of things that go into that. And there's a lot of ideas that we want the kids to walk away with. But I always say, if there's just two things that I could get you to walk out of the door and really embrace, it's this. Number one, don't wait for opportunities in life, make them. If I meet another kid who walks in and tells me that, you know, they're waiting for the universe to show them something, like the universe is pretty busy right now. We've got a pandemic going on. You can't wait for the universe. You need to make things happen in your life. And when you do get an opportunity, don't take it, master it. And there's a big difference. Look, when ABC put me on Extreme Makeover, dentistry, no problem. TV, I stunk. I mean, I was pitifully bad. If you watch the first few episodes of Extreme Makeover, I looked like a deer in headlights. But at least I was smart enough to know how bad I stunk. So instead of sitting there and feeling sorry for myself, I took action. I took acting classes, hosting classes, teleprompting classes. You know, I learned how to do the things I needed to do so ABC wouldn't fire me. Did it pay off? Hell yeah. I mean, my company grew 2 million, 4 million, 8 million, 60. We plateaued at 76 million. The first year I was on Extreme Makeover, we did $101 million in sales. The next year we did 136. And the following year, we did almost $200 million in sales. Because instead of me sitting there and losing an opportunity, I tried to make myself the best I could be in that opportunity, and it worked. And I think that that's really the key.
So you also talk about this idea that you had a skill set in dentistry, right? You learned how to do dentistry. But you say dental school didn't necessarily teach you anything about business. What would you say to the young entrepreneur or the business person? Maybe they've got a skill set, maybe they understand how to do a certain thing, but they're trying to really grow their business expertise. What would be some of the principles that you would give to young people today?
You know, my mantra is this: learn so you can earn and then return. And just do that. You know, when I started building Discus Dental, my business partner was brilliant. I mean, I really give him all the credit for the success we had in building that business from zero to $1.3 billion in sales. That was not my wheelhouse. I knew dentistry. You know, I learned TV, and we made a great team. But, you know, I think that, you know, being able to diversify and continue to learn. I would sit in our board meetings and I really felt like an idiot. I mean, they're talking about EBITDA and I'm like, EBIT what? Like, I know what a molar is, you know, I know what an endo is. Like, I don't know what EBITDA is. So again, instead of sitting there and feeling useless, I went back to school. I mean, I went and I took night courses at UCLA, extension courses in business and accounting and all that, and I have kids come up to me all the time. They're like, Dr. Bill, like, what's the secret of success? It's like they want a pill. I'll tell you what the secret is. Work your butt off. I mean, I don't know a single successful person in this world that doesn't work their butt off. When I was doing ABC's Extreme Makeover, I was waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to the gym because I work out every day. I mean, that's, I think, a really important part of life. You can't just build your business and let your body and your health go to the wayside. So I would wake up every morning at 5 o'clock. I go to the gym. I go in my dental office. I would work from 8 o'clock until probably 6 o'clock seeing patients. And then on Saturdays and Sundays, I would film 14-hour days. Why? Because I couldn't do that. Like, can you imagine Katy Perry walking into my office and seeing a big film crew there? it just, my patients don't want to be filmed, so I had to compartmentalize that. I had to do all that stuff during the week. And then on the weekends, I worked more than anybody I knew. But you know what? On 10/10/10 at 10 a.m., it was a perfect 10 day. We sold my company, Discus Dental, to Philips. And on that Monday morning, I walked into my office. I did an all hands on deck meeting with my entire team there. I said, these are my new office hours. I cut my office hours in half. I said, I'm going to work exactly 20 hours a week on patients. And the other 20 hours a week, I'm going to do philanthropic work. And they're like, are you okay? I'm like, no, I'm fine. They're like, you're not sick. I'm like, no. They said, but we thought you were a workaholic. I said, well, not by desire, but more by necessity. And I've kept that schedule ever since 10/10/10.
I love that. Well, I know you're a man who's passionate about philanthropic work, and it's a huge part of what you've devoted your life to. And we're going to talk about the LEAP Foundation here in just a minute. Before we go there, you say the most powerful word in business is 3 letters. Can you tell us about that?
I'm going to make it even broader. I would say the most powerful word in the English language is 3 letters. A-S-K.
I love it. I love it.
And you know what else? I'll tell you another thing that really helps a lot of business leaders. Never fail. Never, ever fail. I never fail. And I'm not saying it in arrogance. I'll tell you why. If I do something and it doesn't come out the way I want it to, that's not failure. It's practice. And then you do it again and again and again until you get the result you want. You really only fail when you quit. And I won't quit. If there's something I really want, I won't quit. And another thing you have to remember is we've all heard the old phrase, practice makes what?
Perfect.
Wrong. Practice makes permanent. Get a mentor. If you're doing something over and over and over again, what's the definition of insanity? You keep doing the same thing over again and expect a different result? No. Get a mentor. Mentors are probably the most powerful and fastest way to success on this planet. If you're going to do something, somebody else is already doing that. Look, when I came back from Switzerland, where I did my dental internship, and I started practicing in Beverly Hills, the last thing they needed was another cosmetic dentist, right? What'd I do? I researched, I found the 5 most successful cosmetic dentists in Beverly Hills, and I called them up. I was a nobody, there was no threat. And I said, can I come in and shadow you? And I did that. And I sat there like a sponge and I looked at everything they did. And every single one of them said the same thing to me, Jordan. They said, you know what? You're really different. I go, well, what do you mean? They said, well, we've had students come in and shadow us before, but you're not like them. You know why? Because I didn't just come in there and watch them drill teeth. I would come in, I would watch how they would bring patients into the office, the intake forms they did, the conversations that they had, how they seated the patient, how they presented treatment, how they talked about finances, how they then delivered the treatment, and then brought the patient back to the front desk and collected money and set up their next appointment. So for me, it wasn't about drilling teeth. I can drill teeth all day long. It was about the experience. And I worked with probably the most famous cosmetic dentist in the history of cosmetic dentistry. And it wasn't the technical part of dentistry that I learned. I learned how to talk to people. You know, I didn't grow up around movie stars. I grew up poor. I didn't grow up with billionaires. I mean, that was not but I learned how to talk to these people and how to relate to them and how to make them comfortable with what we were doing. Dentistry is a very intimate thing. I mean, you're right in somebody's mouth, you know? Right. And the real skill is not always just, you know, the didactic part. It's really learning how to comfort people, listen to people. And especially when I'm doing cosmetic dentistry, nobody ever died because their teeth were yellow. You know, when they come in and they pay me all this money, they have a vision, and I need to make that come to reality.
I appreciate you sharing a part of your journey and your story. And I hope for all of our listeners, they caught that last 5 minutes. So powerful. And I appreciate the humility with how you shared. I want to go back to this point that you made earlier about deciding to learn, earn, and return. You are passionate about philanthropic work, and you've decided to make the return part of your life a really big part of your life, it sounds like, in recent years especially. And so I want to spend a little bit of time on what drives you to spend so much time in that direction. And then I'd also love for you to fill us in on your work with the LEAP Foundation.
You know, I had a really impactful teacher when I was in high school. Mrs. Clement. She's still alive and I'm still friends with her. And she said, if you leave this earth without having made it a better place, shame on you. And she's right. You know, I mean, I have some of the wealthiest patients in the world come into my practice. And some of them do amazing things for this world. And some of them don't. And I just don't get it. I mean, maybe I'm selfish because I feel like I get so much more out of giving back than the person receiving it. But I don't know. You know, I grew up poor. And the second we started making money at Discus Dental, we gave back and gave back and gave back. And then we started this foundation with Garth Brooks and the Crown Council of Dentists. We've raised $44 million for children's hospitals and charities. You know, and it's like, that's the part when you say, what are you most proud of in your career? That's what I'm proud of, you know, and I don't know. It's just, I think it's such an important part of life, you know, and the LEAP Foundation started out of this crazy thing. There was a little dude in Texas named Walter Haley. They called him Itsy Bitsy Haley. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. And he was an insurance salesman. And he realized, first of all, a large contingency of his practice was made up of dentists. And he realized very quickly that dentists had no idea how to run a practice or a business. They knew how to drill teeth. So he started this thing called Dental Boot Camp. And Dental Boot Camp became this cultish thing that, back then, this is like 30 years ago, it was almost taboo to like make money as a doctor, but he broke that taboo and he taught dentists how to run a business. And the things that they taught were so powerful that a bunch of the dentists said, you know, we should have something like this for our kids. So he started a boot camp for kids, and they would call me in to be a mentor, to talk to the kids, because I've had an unusual career in dentistry. Unfortunately, 14 years ago, Walter passed. He was 85. And I thought, you know, this can't die with him. So we renamed it. We made it a nonprofit. And we started up LEAP. And the thing that really touches my heart so deeply is that the whole community has helped embrace this. I mean, I've had Mark Wahlberg, Anthony Hopkins, Eva Longoria, Kathy Bates, Paula Abdul, Michael Strahan, Apollo Ono, our mayor, Eric Garcetti. I mean, I can go on and on and on, all come and speak for free. We don't pay these guys anything. They come and speak for free because these kids who are 15 to 25, they're our future. And these guys get it. And I was blown away when Mark Wahlberg talked about his days as a gangster. You know, they put him in jail. He was a hoodlum, and how he turned his life around. Anthony Hopkins openly talks about his battles with alcohol. I mean, he's a big supporter of AA, and alcoholism almost ruined his life. And having the kid, because you know what? This is the part that people don't really get. We compare our deepest, darkest inside to everybody else's bright, sunny outside. And we think they don't have problems, you know? I have 3 daughters. And my girls look at these celebrities and I think their lives are golden. Nobody's life is golden. We all have issues. And having people that are that visible come and actually share their lives and their struggles with my students is epic.
Well, I just commend you for the work that you're doing in that space. We believe that living is giving. It's been one of our mantras, and you are living out that mantra. How do we get involved, Dr. Bill? If we wanted to get involved with the LEAP Foundation, if our audience wanted to get involved or get behind your mission, tell us more about how we do that.
Well, first of all, if you have kids or no kids that are 15 to 25, they can go to LEAP. And you know, our next program is going to be July 18th to the 24th. We always do it at UCLA. They can go to www.leapfoundation.com to get more information. Unfortunately, last year, because of the pandemic, it had to be virtual. Going forward, it will always be virtual, and hopefully we'll have a live component. I'm thinking this year, we normally have about 500 kids come. I'm thinking this year, if we take that big ballroom and space it out, maybe we'll put 50 kids in there. And then I hope to have over 10,000 kids on the virtual program. If you are a businessman or woman and you would like to participate as a mentor, we love that. The program culminates on Friday with something we call a mentor workshop. And in that mentor workshop, we basically put the kids in small groups where they get to sit one-on-one with different people, doctors, lawyers, firefighters, screenwriters, I mean, you name it. And they literally sit and just ask them questions about their career. And it's really, really powerful.
Well, I want to get behind that mission. So we want to support you. We would love to share that message for our listeners. If you're listening, we're going to attach the links to Bill's website so you can go follow Dr. Bill, but also follow this mission, the LEAP Foundation. Dr. Bill, I just, again, commend you on the way that you decided to handle your success.
Well,
I
thanks,
love
George.
what you said.
You know what? I just want to interrupt one other thing. You know, we have a lot of corporations that sponsor kids. And that's a really cool thing too. I mean, when we're doing the live program, you know, it costs us about $1,500 per student for the whole week with the housing and meals and all that. And there are a lot of companies and corporations that will sponsor like 10 kids for their employees, or they'll let us pick the kids. I mean, we work with the Steve Harvey Foundation, the YMCA, the YWCA, and all these other groups. 60% of the kids who come to LEAP come on scholarship. We go out and we raise hundreds of thousands of dollars every year. So these kids will have an opportunity to come. And I'll tell you something, at the end of the week, one of the things we do, and I don't know another program in the country that does this, we have these little notes. They're called I Appreciate notes. And we teach the kids appreciation. Where do they learn that? We teach, I mean, the things we teach at LEAP are skills you need to be successful that you're not going to learn in school. And this will say, it says, I appreciate, and it will say, you know, Dr. Bill, because, you know, LEAP changed my life. And last year, the last year we did this in person, we had 400 kids. I got 400 I appreciate notes. And I'll tell you something, 99% of them said, Dr. Bill, thank you. The LEAP team is amazing. You guys changed my life. Now I said 99%. I'll tell you why. Because 1% will say, hey, Dr. Bill, LEAP saved my life. And I know it did. These kids come to the program. They've got no support at home. They don't feel good about themselves. They don't, the first thing we do is we get these kids to start really believing that they are a 10, that they can be a 10. And for some of these kids, nobody's ever told them that in their life. I can tell you something. If you're a parent and you want to know what the greatest gift you can give your kid is, it's not a car. It's not a ring. It's not a watch. Confidence. You give your kids confidence, you gave them the greatest gift in the world, because confidence is currency. And, I was so fortunate, we didn't have money. But I didn't know we were poor growing up. I was loved, and my parents gave me so much confidence. I honestly think that's the biggest reason why I've been able to do what I've done. So as a parent, just think about that. That's really the most important gift you can give. And when kids come to LEAP, we build on that. And what we do is we put them in a support group of 10 other kids, and they're with those kids that whole week. And we're not a one and doneer. It's like when we finish that week, we encourage these kids to stay in touch with each other throughout the year. We put them in little mastermind groups and things like that. So it's pretty powerful.
Well, I want our audience to hear this real quick, because we were talking just a little bit before we went, on the show here. And I always ask, like I asked you, Dr. Bill, hey, is there one thing that's really important to you? What do you want to talk about? It wasn't some sort of program. It had nothing to do with your personal brand. It wasn't about business. It was about LEAP. And I think that just says a lot about what's inside your heart and the way that you've handled success. And it says a lot about the way that you focus on others. And I go back to this idea that living is giving. And I love your mantra, learn, earn, and return. It's fantastic. So we are just honored, Dr. Bill, to have you on our show today. I know our listeners have been really blessed by your message, and will continue to be blessed by your words. Anything else that you just want to leave us with before we sign off today?
No, I'll thank you for the opportunity, Jordan. If anybody wants to get a hold of me directly, I'm really diligent about answering DMs on Instagram. So just go to my Instagram. It's at Dr. Dr. Bill, Bill Dorfman. I promise you, it's really me. I'm verified. It's real. And I will answer any questions you ask. And again, if you have any questions about LEAP, or you have a kid, you're a bad parent if you don't send your kid to my LEAP program.
Well, hey, you are officially the only doctor I've ever met with 1 million followers on Instagram. But I've also never met a doctor that's been on Oprah and Larry King. And the best part of it, Dr. Bill, is your heart and your spirit and your humility. So thank you for being an example to a younger generation of what it looks like to handle success and focus on others through living and giving. We appreciate you. Thanks again for your time. I look forward to staying in touch and being friends for a long time to come.
Thank you, Jordan. Me too.
This has been another episode of the Montgomery Companies Podcast. Thank you for spending some of your very valuable time with us. We want to also say thank you to Dr. Bill Dorfman, today's guest, for sharing knowledge and insights. A special thanks to John Choate, our producer from Storyline Multimedia, who makes these episodes go. We'd ask you before we sign off to please like, share, or subscribe to our podcast in an effort to move our mission forward of impacting more people for good. It's been fun to be with you today. Have a great day and be well.